And I think we are on air, so hello and welcome to F4 round 8, I think it is, season 1, for the Austrian Grand Prix. It is myself, and I am very ill at the moment, so sorry if I do sound a bit croaky, but I am with a very healthy human being of Dan. Dan, how are you doing?
I'm good, thanks, mate. It's great to be back commentating with you in FRL.
Yeah, it's going to be a really good race, I'm sure, as should be a lot of overtakes, and hopefully we do get no issues as well with obviously disconnects and things like that. But we've got a few new faces. Evil Zook, I think, will hopefully join in quali. So, but it doesn't seem as though his internet's doing very well. But yeah, it should be a good race here for F4. Hopefully we do get a good battle between the championship leaders, as at the moment we've got VIP GTA Gamer in the lead, and he hasn't extended his points after DNFing in France, but he's on 92. Alf King's 2 behind, but he's in F3 because obviously he won Monaco and Baku where he absolutely dominated, so he's been awarded an F3. See, Demoniac's 7 behind VIP GTA Gamer in 3rd, so those two are your main two to look out for. Jim Strav, he's only, I think it's 19. He's only 19 points behind VIP GTA Gamer. He's in 4th, but that's more like 3rd with Alf King. Evo got promoted after 2 wins in a row, so O. Stevens more like in 4th with 48. So that's your top 5. And it looks a bit gloomy, doesn't it, Dan? So maybe we might get some rain.
It is looking a bit like that. I will just go and check. Yeah, everybody is actually starting on softs at the minute, so I assume that it's not raining at the minute, but from looking at how the weather looks, it looks like we could be expecting some rain either during qualifying or the race. And I've raced in the rain in Austria, and let me just say now, it is not fun.
Yeah, it certainly isn't, but it's going to be interesting for sure to see if the drivers can cope in the rain, as it's obviously going to be very difficult. We got a bit of rain in France, if I remember correctly. I think it was a wet quali and dry race where Stephen nearly took his maiden win in FRL in general, as he's been here quite a while and he's still yet to win. But he was half a lap away from winning until Eva obviously dived him down the inside into, I think, the chicane just before the 3rd sector. And in the end, he managed to make it stick. And Stephen Aussie went into the back of, I think it was Jim's drive in the 3rd sector. And I think Jim's drive, no, he's not one of the first ones. Andy's the first one on track, but Jim's drive obviously sort of made Stephen, I guess, lose that podium. But still, all the drivers are going to be in very good shape, aren't they, to try and get what they deserve in terms of points for some and podiums for others, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, Austria, it's probably one of the easiest tracks to race on in my opinion, but I think sometimes people take that for granted and they expect to have an easy race, so they'll come out on track, they'll be flying around the track, and then something will happen, they'll spin out, they'll crash out the race, whatever happens to them. So personally, Austria, like I said, is an easy track to race on. But like I said, people take it for granted, so they need to be careful going out here, because the people that want to get podium, the people that want to win the race, they need to think tactically on how they're going to be able to cope with the pressure, especially with those Stephen, who, like you said, is still yet to win an FRL. But I'm sure that if he can take pole position today, and then he can push himself. I'm sure that he could potentially be today's winner, but obviously anything is possible, anything can happen out on track this evening.
Yeah, definitely can. And we are going to go on board with Jim Straff here as he comes up to the 2nd corner, which isn't really a corner, it's more of a curve, but coming to their sort of hairpin of turn 3 where he gets it turned in quite nicely, gets on the outside curve a little bit, where he's going to now come up to Schuff's goal of turn 4, as Andy has kept it valid, which is quite difficult around Austria. Only 10 corners, but you want to really maximise every corner as he gets caught on the outside curb of Schuff's goal there on exit. Come into Rausch of turn 6, misses the apex a little bit, so he's going to want to improve on his next lap, I'm sure. But hooks up quite nicely. It's 45.2, so keep that in mind if you can keep this valid, as we can compare it to some other drivers. Come up to Rint, turn 9. These next two corners are going to be very critical to your lap, as you really want to carry the speed, and he does that quite nicely, Andy, and he's done a really nice sector, but he does go invalid, so that's a bit of a shame. It would have been a 5.3, which would have been 6 tenths off Pippo, so Pippo looks like he has the pace, doesn't he?
Yeah, Pippo, he's looking very, very promising in the early stages of the race. But obviously, the times will improve, and you're bound to get somebody that is going to come through, and he's going to take that pole position away from him. But all Pippo can do is just stay calm on track, go back round, go for another lap, and see if he can improve on his time and extend his time and keep himself in pole position.
Yeah, as just looking at some of the other times coming through, which is eVolvo 1.5, so as you said, I think Pippo's got the jump on a lot of people, as we're going on board with Jesse here in P14. Nice to see 10 viewers with Dan back, so hopefully the race is going to be even more enjoyable. As we got Evil Zook, who's joined the lobby for now, but his connection issues haven't been the best, because I think he was saying Virgin Media have had some software updates. This is apparently only 4 tenths off. Jesse's going to come up to the line. It's a 5-1, so not too shabby at all, with just under 4 tenths off. I think there was a Mercedes, yeah, of DRS F1, who's also new, and he's 9 tenths off on mediums, so I think the gap's around 4 tenths between mediums and softs. So Dan, if you're qualifying on a medium, it is quite risky, isn't it, because you can be really far down the order.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, so qualifying on the mediums, like you said, could be quite risky, because you're going to maybe be slightly slower, but in my opinion, I think some of the turns, doesn't matter what tyre compound you use, it's how you get round them. I think it's turn 2 that Rice is just coming up to now that I'm watching. Turn 2 isn't the easiest of turns to take on, but once you get round turn 2, I think that's the hardest turn out of the way. So it's all about how you get round each turn, and how, yeah, it's basically just how you get round each turn, and just try and get round it as smoothly as possible, and then get away as fast as you can.
Yeah, definitely, and I think it's just about, as you said, I think carrying the speed as the Rise is going off an escape road, and I didn't even know this part of the track existed, but I think you see it quite a few times in F2. Hopefully the drivers won't need to use it, as we hope there'll obviously be clean racing, but Rise, 36 thousandths off Pippo, so we've seen in the past in FRL, especially F4, drivers be separated by 1,000th, I think it was in one qualifying, unless I'm mistaken. It was very close sometimes, but 36 thousandths, that's really nip for tack, and it is quite a short circuit, so generally with 10 corners as well, you'd expect the field to be quite close. I think Lewis here is going on board with Lewis on a lap. Hopefully he can hook up a lap which is better than 7th, as I'm sure he's going to be aiming for points, after he hasn't had the best of luck, as I think you were saying that as 2 tenths off goes Demoniac and DRS Saki Bene.
Yeah, I mean, I was just watching Demoniac, and when he came around that final turn, I thought, here we go, this is going to be the new pole position. But no, he only gets a 105.067, so I think he can improve on that time and maybe push. And then, like you said, you've got, is it Saki Bene, if that's how you pronounce it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I don't know really, I think he's new.
The time between Demoniac and Saki, they're just so close that it's going to be a battle. You can already tell that this race is going to be a good race to watch tonight. So I'm really looking forward, with the times that we've got, I'm really looking forward to seeing what these guys can do.
Yeah, me too. And especially with medium guys being up there, you think it's going to be quite close. I think Andy's starting on another lap, so let's see if he can keep this one valid. Coming through the Nicky Lauda curve, turn 1. Kittle nice and tidy. Andy, I think, invalidated around turn 7, around just before the corner before Rent, but quite a few guys in the pits as well, and that's not really going to do them the world of good, is it, Dan? Because obviously the longer you stay in the pits, less time you get to set laps, so you really don't want to leave it right to the end to set it up, otherwise if you invalidate, that's your qualifying over.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've always said to go out on track early, so round about the 16-17 minute mark. I mean, I half the time go out straight away, but in my opinion, I think going out early is the best, because if you invalidate, you can just go back around and you can just keep going around till you set a time. You've got 18 minutes to be able to set a time, and you've got to use those 18 minutes to the best of your advantage, because you're bound to get at least one lap in where you don't invalidate. I mean, even if you get into 1 minute 40 on a track like Austria, at least you can say you still set a time, because some of the guys that don't set a time, you're still ahead of them. So it's always best to set a time early, or at least set a time, so then you can at least say that you can at least say that you're above somebody that hasn't set a time, if that makes any sense.
No, no, it does. So, I think, yeah, I think you do want to kind of get in the laps early, otherwise it does limit you, as Andy obviously went 6/10 off, which isn't too shabby. Only 11 drivers, so I think track limits are a little bit of an issue. Ayrton Senna on a lap, he's going to be trying to keep this valid. 16.2 first sector, which isn't actually that bad. Especially for F4 stands, he was exactly left, but 45.4, I think 45.2 was by Andy on his initial lap, so this isn't looking super impressive for Ayrton Senna if you want to get on that front row. As just looking, Jesse's 28 thousandths of Pippo, so all the blue cars, if you like, they're all in the top three, looking really close, but Ayrton Senna up to the line, what's going to be? It's a P10 for the McLaren, so McLaren, I guess, a little bit off the pace, Dan.
Yeah, I mean, Ayrton Senna is a good driver, so I was expecting more from him. But I think P10 is always a good place to start. Start in the middle, because at least you're in the points then. So then when you start the race, all you have to do is get out of turn one, and once that grid starts separating, if you're still in that middle area, you can then start thinking about not DRS, thinking about the overtakes. And what you're going to do is Jesse does take pole position there with a 104.7.
Yeah, very good lap from Jesse, and he's fairly new. I think he debuted in Canada, if I'm not mistaken, as he went a 10th fast, you can see from there. 4.7, it's not bad. I think we won't be seeing 103s. I'd expect that more from F3, and I'll actually check F3 while we speak, but it's all of a sudden meant it's not as close in the top three as you might have hoped for. But looking through the rest of the field, Pippo was a little bit down. Rise is 3,000 down. I think Rise is one of those drivers who's really improved as the season's gone on. In pre-season, he looked like a spinner, little bit not sure whether he was so good going side by side. He had that awful moment with Andy, where Andy more or less took him out of the race in China, where they, I think, just got a bit confused down the straight. But Arise is continuing on this lap, and he seems really confident around Austria, which is good to see for the Red Bull man. And he improves by 10th. So around Austria, that's quite a big bit. And then once again, it's very close between the top two.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't know what to say, because Arise, he's a very good driver. I've watched him race in multiple leagues, but not only that, but you've also got Pippo just behind him there. So the top three is very close. So I think tonight, I would like to see O'Stephen up there, because he's a good driver, but I think tonight I'm going to have to go with Jesse, Arise and Pippo, who are all going to be battling it out. But anything can still change. I mean, anybody starting at the back of the grid, they could always come to the front and win the race. So it's going to be interesting, especially on a track like Austria, with it being so short, people, and with so many long straights as well, with quite a few long straights as well, people have to use that to their advantage and use the DRS zones to their advantage and just make the overtakes when they can, because there's going to be so many opportunities for overtakes.
Yeah, and just confirmation, Jesse saying he can go a bit quicker in the comments, but that's scary. But he did DNF, I think it was in Canada. He missed the race in France, which was what I initially thought. So, I mean, he hasn't scored points yet, but being on pole, that's definitely going to boost his confidence. Looking at, I think it's Tides and validated. Andy, I think we seem to catch Andy on just about every single one of his laps. Go on board with Andy again, see if he can improve.
No.
DRS Saki Bene, I think he's retired in a pit, so that's not too bad. Andy up by 2/10 here, so he's going to be looking around P7, so not too bad from him. Also, VIP GTA Game, I thought he was serving quali ban, but he isn't, so he's going to be right up there when he puts his lap in. But Andy keeping it really hooked up here for the last two corners. Coming out of the Red Bull Mobile corner, he's going to come up to the line, and it's not too bad at all from Andy. He's only 2/10 off, and I reckon he has time for another lap, as I think he's pushing again, and he validates. But Andy, another one of those drivers who you know quite well, don't you, Dan? So Surely you must be pretty proud of a lap like that. Only 2/10 off Jesse and in the 104s.
Yeah, I've raced alongside him and I've commentated in many of his races. And in Austria, that has probably been his best time. And not only that, but the best position that he's also been in. And if you and anybody and everybody else that's watching, if you heard me go, "Oh no," moments ago, it was because VIP GTA Gamer, he invalidated on the final turn. And had he not invalidated, he would have got pole position because he did actually get a 104.6. So that's unfortunate for him.
Pippo? I just seen Pippo. He's improving by 88 thousandths, and that's going to put him just about in pole. He's improving by just under 2/10 now, coming through the second sector. So the Williams man looking really good. He uses a very odd camera angle, the furthest away as possible. As an AlphaTauri nearly hits him. Well, Pippo's going to throw it around the last two corners. Hopefully he doesn't invalidate, but he's not going to mind. He's going to really try and carry this speed up to the line. What's it going to be? 104.5? It's 104.4. Brilliant lap from Pippo. Massive improvement. And surely that's not going to be top, Dan.
I mean, with a lap like that, you would expect him to finish on pole now. But
Yeah.
I think say it was Jesse that said that they can improve on their time. So just to think that he could also improve on their time, it's going to be interesting to see how much he can improve by if he decides to come back out of pits. Because to get a 104, that is one hell of a lap to pull off.
Yeah. Definitely is. I've just seen as well Evil Zook saying he's trying his best, but he doesn't think he can join. But I think he can join in a race unless his car isn't allowed to race due to it obviously not setting a lap. But I mean, worst comes to worst, so you can just listen to us or watch the stream, which isn't too bad, I hope, as Andy invalidates after being on a fairly decent lap. But I'm going to try and look at VRPG Gamer. He's on an out lap. Rise, I think he improved there, maybe. Oh no, Arise is proving now. So he's up by 2/1000ths of a second coming through turn 3. So Arise once again looking really good. So some of the drivers you wouldn't usually expect, like Arise and Andy, to be right up there. They're right up there. DRS Saki Bene, he's on mediums, don't forget. So he could be, if he puts a pair on softs at the end, he's going to be right up there. Ayrton Senna as well, he's usually a bit poor in quali, but he's right up there in 7th, so it's a little bit of an unusual one. But Arise coming through the second sector, he's up by 2/10 here, so if Arise can hook up this last sector, I think we can have a new provisional pole sitter here. The Red Bull man looking really fast at the moment, and he's going to fly through Rint of turn 9. Hopefully he has no traffic, but I think he does. I think a few people are pitting and starting their laps. Will Arise up to the line? Is it going to be provisional pole? I think it is. It's at 104.3. Brilliant lap from Arise. And that's 63 thousandths faster than Pippo. I mean, where did that come from? Brilliant from Arise.
Wow. I mean, I've seen him race multiple times as well, but I've never seen him on pole before. And to get a 104.3, that is something he could be proud of, and he just needs to hope for the best now. And hope that nobody can take that away from him. But bearing in mind, he has still got Pippo just up behind him, with Jesse also on an outlap. Pippo has gone into pits, which I assume he won't be coming back out now. But you've also got Jesse in P3 as it stands, as he comes up towards the final 2 turns here, going around coming into the final turn now. This could actually be a good lap as well, as he comes up towards the finish line and he hits it at a 104.5 and he doesn't improve, but I thought that was going to be pole for the time being. VIP GTA Gamer on an outlap himself here, and he is looking very comfortable right now, but I'm not sure if he'll be able to take pole position tonight.
Yeah, he's going to do his best. P17 is not bad. I mean, sorry, it is bad for VIP Gamer standards, and he invalidates. And what's it going to be? Well, it's going to be a 104.7, so the consistency is there. But VIP GTA Gamer, after having a few quali bounds, maybe it's just in his natural instinct to start towards the back, but if he can save the fuel, maybe he can make it around the next lap, because we always do have a little bit of a timing glitch in pretty much every tier in FRL. But catching on board of Lewis, he's going to be wanting to do better than his Alpine team, and Lewis is going to box. And that's another thing, there are track limits coming to the pits, and Mini, I just caught the end of that, he goes right into the wall and he's out. So I think there's a car coming up behind him. I think that's Williams of VIP GTA Gamer, but he's invalidated. But my god.
Oh,
quali's over. So VIPGA Gamer, he's going to be starting 17th. So the man who's leading the championship is going to be starting 17th. That's going to be the big headline, as he's invalidated here. So that's going to be awful for him. Oh, Stephen, we'll go and ball with him. He's slightly down on his time by 3/10. He's going to have to find a lot of time if he really wants to mix it with the top guys. That's just a wheel just right in the middle of the trap. Oh, Stephen on a pair of softs now, not mediums. He's going to really have to throw the car around. He's 1.6 tenths up at the moment. That's going to put him still in unlucky 13th, and he does invalidate. That's poor from O. Stephen. I think you would expect a lot more from, I think, the man who had a really good race in F2 last season. But Demoniac, he's backed off, I think, as Alyssa Brown is not on a lap. Ties is invalidated. Jesse, I don't think is on a fast lap, so I think that's qualifying over, and that's a rise on pole.
Wow, what a qualifier. I mean, right towards the end of qualifying, I thought that Jesse was going to take pole then, but no, he only gets a 104.4, and it was a very good lap, to be fair. But I'm really, at this point now, I'm really looking forward to seeing how this race pans out and who will take today's P1.
Yeah, I mean, who isn't? I'm just looking a rise if he was in F3, which he definitely won't be, because I think his consistency still needs to be improved a bit. If he put that lap in F3, he would have been P8, and considering you got the likes of Alpha King, who won 2 races in a row for F4, that's not bad at all, as yeah, the F3 goes quite fast, but F4 is really close, if not closer than F3. Just over a tenth separates the top 3, and then obviously you have a few people who didn't even set lap time, so if you had VIP GTA Game and Jimstrav and Evil Zook setting lap times, I reckon you would have seen maybe the top 5 even being within 2-3 tenths. So a little bit disappointing to see some of the guys who are starting towards the back not getting a clean lap. I just seen Seki Bene, he's from South Africa, so that's, I think, the first African who we've ever had in FRL, maybe proper African, because we know a few drivers pretend they're African with a flag, as they like to change it. But Saki Bene as well, he's not too bad either in 6th on para mediums, is he?
No, I know, and I think that come the start of the race, he is going to be, from looking at the lap time that he got, I think he could have improved it had he not crashed out of qualifying. So I think he may even be favoured to finish on that podium tonight. But only time will tell who will finish where. I mean, like you said, you've got some drivers. You've got, 3 drivers at the back of the grid that didn't even set a time in.
Yeah.
So, anything is possible.
Yeah, definitely. Just speaking of anything is possible, Andy, very happy with his lap. As we got 19 viewers, which is one of the best I think we've ever had, which is odd because I think if check F3 has 6, so everyone loving F4 as it is a dry race as well. So tell you what, strap in. There's going to be loads of overtakes, and we didn't predict the qualifying, but we will predict the amount of overtakes that are going to happen. I'll try and catch as many as possible on stream. I'm going to say proper overtakes we catch on stream, or we'll say maybe overtakes for the lead, proper, ignoring pit stops. I reckon we're going to get 10 overtakes for the lead. Dan, what are you calling?
I'm going to say around 12, 13 overtakes that we're going to see tonight for the top spot. It's going to be really close, and I think with the rise on pole, I think in that his first pole in FRL.
Yeah.
So with him in pole for his first time in FRL, he's going to want to be doing something special. So I think him, Pippo and Jesse, they're all going to be battling it out nice and early, and there's going to be overtakes. There's going to be overtakes left, right, and centre for the first lap or 2. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how the top 3 starts tonight's race.
Yeah, no one's on hards as well. So the top 3 are going to be, or the top, it's not even top 3, top 5, all on softs. Ties! Where did he come from? I think last time I saw he was with Volvo down in 12th and 11th, so he put in a very good late lap to put him right in there in the top 5. But Saki Bene, he's going to really have to hang on into the DRS train, isn't he, to make sure he doesn't leave the soft guys, because if he loses the DRS, which is very powerful around here, he could get dropped, couldn't he?
He could. He just needs to try and stick with the guys as best he can, and maybe even use the DRS to his advantage. But like we said, he's got to stick within that 1 second time gap, and he can make the overtakes pretty early.
Is Zook racing? Oh, Zook! I mean, it's very nice because he was pretty distraught. He was thinking about leaving the league, and unless it's going to be awful of me if I mean, he's got no helmet, so that's, I think, with all his connection issues, that's the only thing he's lost. But he's P18, he's going to try and do his last the first Verstappen challenge. But I mean, do you think he can pull it off? Because he was Zook. I mean, he is ballsy when he wants to be, but just sometimes the nerves get to him. So P18, surely he can let loose.
Oh, honestly, he's a very good driver, so I'm really looking forward to seeing if he can do something special tonight. As the grid is reforming, I am to see him actually on track now racing himself. I'm really looking forward to seeing if he can do something special tonight. Because if he does, without shadow, I can't even speak again. Without a doubt, is what I was meant to say. He will 100% be my driver of the day if he can go from P18 onto podium.
Yeah. All the colours, all the guys lining up on a grid. It's going to be brilliant. The most ever views we've had for F4. This is going to be an absolute cracker if we don't get a safety car first lap. So I really hope the drives are clean. But some issues, as I think. Oh, well, I mean, we're lights out and away we go. But I don't have anything up on my end. So this is a bit odd. I can change camera angle, but I can't see the graphics, so I'm not sure whether, Dan, you've got the spectator menu up, but Arise is in the lead. I guess we're going to have to go with it. Pippo in second. Pippo's now going to try and go for the move. Sorry, because I don't know where anyone else is with this happening, but it is Pippo, and I think Arise going in for the leaders. There's a spinner towards the back. I think that's an Alpine of Jesse. I think in the Alpine, so that's going to be gutting for him, looking towards the front. I think it's Arise and Pippo right out front. Dan, is your spectator menu up, or is it?
Yeah.
Oh god, I don't know why mine's acting up. I'm gonna try and change it quickly. Maybe that will solve it. It doesn't, but the top two going really tooth and nail at it. But I'll pass it over to you as I'll try and sort my issues.
No worries. You've got Pippo right up the back of Arise. 3/10 behind him here. See, he's actually got the ERS on as well. He comes up the back now of Arise. 2/10. You've got Williams and Red Bull battling it out for P1 at the minute, going into turn 2. Arise is just holding on.